The theaters of conflict between Russia and Ukraine are rapidly expanding, with battles initially concentrated in Ukrainian territory now reaching Russian soil, such as Kursk, and even impacting the capital Moscow. St. Petersburg has also felt the effects of this conflict. While major Russian cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg haven't seen direct frontline battles outside of Kursk, drone and missile attacks have become occasional events in these strategic locations. St. Petersburg witnessed its first drone strike in January of 2024, and by March of 2024, city officials had amplified security measures following a drone crash that resulted in an explosion within an apartment complex. Now tensions are spiking once more, particularly after Ukrainian drones attacked St. Petersburg, the hometown of Russian President Vladimir Putin, focusing on the city's crucial port infrastructure. But before we delve into the impact of this critical attack on St. Petersburg and its implications for the war, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel, enable notifications, and give us a thumbs up to stay informed with our content. Let's begin by exploring the details of this recent development. An oil refinery in St. Petersburg, Russia, has been the target of suspected Ukrainian drone attacks. In this perplexing assault, the drones targeted Ust-Luga, the largest maritime trade port in the nation, second in importance only to Novorossiysk. Because this port is a vital hub for Russian maritime logistics, both local residents and city leaders expressed significant concern following the attack. In the aftermath of the attack at Ust-Luga, it was reported that a majority of the drones were intercepted over the Novotrans terminal within the port. Authorities declared that 4 drones were shot down, but they did not report any casualties. Nevertheless, recent imagery from the site of the assault shows that the port incurred severe damage. Russian officials have affirmed that this is not the first instance of Ukrainian drone strikes against this infrastructure since the invasion in 2022. Ukrainian forces have been increasingly targeting Russian infrastructure in an effort to disrupt supply lines and military logistics. On January 21st, explosions occurred near the Ust-Luga oil terminal, which was later verified to be a special operation conducted by the Ukrainian Security Service. The Ukrainian military often designates such facilities as key targets. The Ust-Luga sea trade port was established in December of 2001 with the construction of a coal terminal, and by the early 2020s, it had become the second largest port in Russia, holding a pivotal role in the export of fuel, including those used in military operations. Consequently, it is not unexpected that the Ukrainians would target this port. In addition, Ust-Luga's strategic location on the Baltic Sea provides Russia with the capability to maintain a significant naval presence in the region. The port also facilitates the transport of goods crucial for military needs. Due to Ukrainian awareness of these strategic port features, Ust-Luga could potentially be a target for further attacks. Moreover, Russia, now restricted from access to European ports as a result of international sanctions, has come to rely on Ust-Luga as a critical transshipment location for goods headed to Asia, especially China and India. This trade helps Russia to stay connected with international markets. Experts believe that the Ust-Luga port is not just a key element of Russia's economic strategy, but an important tool for Russia's economic and military survival in a constrained global environment. Given its vital importance to the country, disruptions in port activities at Ust-Luga are expected while repairs are conducted and authorities investigate the incident. Furthermore, in the coming days, Russian retaliatory attacks on Ukrainian port facilities may occur as a direct response to the assault on Ust-Luga. In addition to the events at Ust-Luga, authorities in several other Russian regions, like Bryansk, Smolensk, Belgorod, and Pskov, reported drone activity on the night of January 3rd and 4th. The Russian Ministry of Defense claimed to have shot down 16 drones over the Leningrad, Bryansk, Smolensk, Belgorod, and Pskov regions during the night. During the early morning hours of January 4th, air traffic was briefly suspended twice at St. Petersburg's Pulkovo Airport. Both arrivals and departures at Pulkovo International Airport, located approximately 800 kilometers from Russia's border with Ukraine, were suspended from 7:45 a.m. to 10:15 a.m. Russian time. Rosaviatsia's press spokesman, Artem Kinako, specified that these restrictions were implemented for security purposes. This air traffic halt coincided with Russian air defenses, destroying a record of 4 drones over the Leningrad region, according to Governor Alexander Drozdenko. Air crews, air traffic controllers, and airport staff are all taking necessary precautions to maintain flight safety. On the morning of January 4th, St. Petersburg Airport instituted the carpet plan for the second time in a 24-hour period. Rosaviatsia's spokesperson, Artem Kinako, stated that the air travel suspension led to the diversion of 20 flights bound for Pulkovo to alternate airports. 6 aircraft were directed to the holding area near Lake Ladoga. St. Petersburg Airport's restrictions reportedly lasted for over 2 hours. Flight disruptions are projected to continue through at least the end of January 4th as airlines try to manage the backlog of flights. As of now, there has been no comprehensive official statement from the authorities regarding the current status of the airport. Before we move on to the next section, if you're finding this analysis informative, be sure to stick around for the conclusion at the end of the video, as we will share our final thoughts, and hit that like button, and let us know where you are watching from in the comments below. These disruptions around St. Petersburg, coupled with the panic created by the drone strikes, offer us a critical look into Russia's defenses. The inability of the Russians to safeguard even Putin's hometown is telling. It's well documented that S-300 air defense systems are stationed around St. Petersburg, with a local resident even having recorded footage of these anti-aircraft missile systems blocking a road during their maneuver. These complexes have been strategically positioned throughout the region. You may recall that a drone flew over one of Russian President Vladimir Putin's properties in Valdai before proceeding to strike the St. Petersburg oil terminal, Russia's largest oil product transshipment facility in the Baltic region. This event was followed by an increase in the number of S-300 air defense systems being stationed in St. Petersburg. It's becoming clear that the S-300s are not sufficient to adequately defend St. Petersburg. To fully comprehend this deficiency, we must examine the specifics of these systems, many of which are located in the St. Petersburg area. The S-300 is a family of Soviet-era medium-range anti-aircraft missile systems, which began serial production in 1975 and completed its testing phase by 1978. The first S-300 regiment went on combat duty in 1979. By the late 1970s, this air defense system had included over 20 different types of missiles, with variations in missiles, radars, electronic warfare capabilities, and range. Currently, Russia uses 3 types of missiles: the 5V-55K, 5V-55R, and 48N6, equipped with high explosive warheads that weigh up to 144 kilograms. The S-300 complex encompasses a launch vehicle, long-range surveillance radar, command vehicles, and an attack radar, allowing for system elements to be positioned up to 40 kilometers apart. It has an effective range of up to 100 kilometers, covering altitudes between 25 meters and 27 kilometers, and is designed to combat strategic and tactical aircraft, cruise missiles, operational tactical missiles, and ballistic missiles. The S-300 is also reported to be resilient to electronic countermeasures. The long-range radar can track objects from as far away as 300 kilometers. The system is designed to function in all weather conditions and can adapt to diverse climatic conditions. Notably, when configured as an integrated air defense network, the S-300 anti-aircraft missile systems effectively protect tens of thousands of square kilometers against airborne threats. The S-300 is generally acknowledged as one of the most robust anti-aircraft missile systems employed by Russian forces. Given these features, one might imagine the S-300 as a powerful air defense system. But this is really an illusion. The fact that Putin's hometown has been repeatedly struck by air attacks since the war began, including the recent drone attack in St. Petersburg, demonstrates that the S-300s are not sufficient for the Russian defense. Moreover, Russia's inadequate air defenses are creating significant issues, not only for St. Petersburg, but also for the capital, Moscow. Moscow, the Russian capital, has been one of Kyiv's main strategic targets since the beginning of the Ukrainian occupation. With a population nearing 18 million, including the suburbs, it was considered unlikely that the Ukrainians would be capable of launching a significant attack on Moscow. Vladimir Putin was particularly confident about the defense of the capital. However, the Ukrainians have been conducting drone strikes on the Russian capital since the war's inception. One of the Ukrainian military's most recent attempts was their most significant strike on Moscow so far, when in November 2023, drones successfully penetrated the capital's defenses. Aircraft-type drones were utilized in this attack, resulting in flight delays at 3 of the capital's airports. The Russian Federal Air Transport Agency reported that Domodedovo, Sheremetyevo, and Zhukovsky airports had diverted at least 36 flights, but later resumed normal operations. There has been a palpable sense of panic among the citizens of Moscow. Videos of the attack posted on social media showed numerous fires within the city. To understand how the Ukrainians managed to breach Moscow's air defenses, it is essential to examine the protective systems within the capital. Moscow and the surrounding central district have always been the most heavily fortified regions in Russia. Currently, the defense of the capital and central district falls under the purview of the 1st Air and Missile Defense Army. The capital's air missile defense system has a complex layered structure. The first layer is comprised of the A-135M strategic missile defense system, while the second includes the S-500, complete with the Ball-1 and Universal-1 automated control systems, the S-400 and S-300 PM2 complexes, and the Panzer anti-aircraft units. These systems are all supported by an extensive network of radar stations that provide for the detection and guidance of defensive air missiles. This comprehensive arrangement of systems is aimed at countering airstrikes, cruise missiles, and intercontinental ballistic missile warheads. However, as evidenced by the November attacks, the Ukrainians were able to circumvent all these powerful double-layered defense systems in Moscow, successfully conducting their drone strike. Experts suspect that the drones used in Moscow were the A-22 Flying Fox drone, which was also employed in the recent attack on a Russian base at the Caspian seaport of Kaspiysk in Dagestan. The same drone, which reportedly traveled 1,000 miles in the Dagestan attack, may also have penetrated Moscow's air defenses on this occasion. Regardless of the drone type, another significant factor in the success of the attack was that the defense strategy in the capital did not adequately address air threats. Indeed, defense against drones has not traditionally been a central task for the air missile defense systems serving in the First Army. Neither the 2021 National Security Strategy nor the 2014 Military Doctrine of the Russian Federation identifies drones as a threat to national security. The April 2, 2019 concept for the advancement of aerospace defense in the Russian Federation until 2030 also lacks a detailed discussion regarding methods of combating drones. When the Russian Ministry of Defense published a report on the evolution of the Russian aerospace forces at the beginning of the war, it stated that the modernization of Moscow's missile defense system would be completed by 2023, but the drone threat was not mentioned. The fact that Ukrainian drones possess both the capability and the intent to attack important targets on Russian territory became apparent as early as the fall of the previous year. In November of 2022, Russian Security Council Secretary Nikolai Patrushev called for an increase in air defense forces within the Central Federal District, particularly to safeguard important facilities. Judging by the attacks on Russian airports in December of 2022 and the more recent drone attack in Moscow, the realization of this vulnerability came too late. Lieutenant General Aitek Bijev, a former deputy commander-in-chief of the Russian Air Force for the Commonwealth of Independent States Air Defense System, proposed that 24/7 air defense posts be stationed at key strategic locations, including the Kremlin, the Ministry of Defense, and the headquarters of the Federal Security Service. However, this suggestion was not implemented. According to Yuri Knutov, a military expert and director of the Air Defense Forces Museum, this is probably due to the fact that most of the Russian air defense systems have been redeployed closer to the Ukrainian border since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The placement of air defenses on the roofs of some Moscow buildings in January also indicates that the Russian military is facing a shortage of short-range systems. Furthermore, the Pantsir air defense systems that are also located in the capital have largely failed to detect low-speed and small targets, including military drones. At the same time, these systems have a tendency to detect false targets, such as birds flying nearby. The Russian military system has formulated plans to deploy a higher quantity of Tor M2s at military bases both within and near Moscow. However, the Tor M2 is not a complete solution either. It has been shown to only detect UAVs with around a 70% probability from a distance of 9 to 15 kilometers, or approximately 5.5 to 9 miles. In addition, the lowest altitude that could be detected by the system was between 30 and 60 meters. Given the amount of urban interference, the probability of detecting, targeting, and neutralizing such targets is even lower in a city like Moscow. Furthermore, the success rate of TOR-M2s was even lower when deployed in the Moscow urban environment. Another issue was that Russian air defense systems had difficulty taking down drones during the night. The timings of drone attacks against Moscow and other Russian cities like Bryansk, Kursk, Belgorod, Voronezh, and other locales suggest that they typically occur around midnight. Another critical issue is that Russian air defense systems often come at a very high cost when intercepting drones. This issue also applies to air defense systems in Moscow. Military strategists within the Russian Ministry of Defense have repeatedly noted the low efficacy and excessive cost of utilizing conventional methods to defeat drones. Defense is made even more complicated by the fact that UAVs are normally made of plastic and powered by small metal engines, giving them a low radar signature. Drones also fly at low speeds and low altitudes, making them more difficult to intercept from long distances. They are also capable of maneuvering easily, which helps them evade both radar and air defense systems. This implies that the drones that are attacking Russia may have been launched from nearly anywhere. The world is now witnessing how proficient the Ukrainians have become in this. While Russia has been unable to fully protect even its capital, Ukraine has been taking measures against drone attacks since the outset of the war. Some of these measures have been very innovative. The deployment of anti-drone police teams, particularly in St. Petersburg, indicates the level of concern by authorities, as well as the somewhat lower-tech countermeasures on offer. Another measure was the implementation of a complete ban on drone flights in Moscow during the initial phase of the war. It was mentioned that more sophisticated technologies will be deployed in the future to protect the capital. Laser and microwave weapons are currently being developed in Russia, but their widespread implementation is still some time away. Russia's inability to effectively protect even the capital, combined with the fact that modern air defense systems have not yet been deployed within the city, is causing substantial demoralization among its residents. There is a constant danger to life in both St. Petersburg and Moscow. Yet it appears there is very little that the Russian people can do to address this. Over the past 10 years, and particularly since February of 2022, surveillance has played a crucial role in Putin's campaign of increased political suppression. This suppression keeps people from openly discussing their thoughts and emotions on politics and life within Russia. Many people are against the occupation of Ukraine and the oppressive policies inside Russia and would like to express their opinions. However, open opposition to Putin's government can lead to severe consequences for ordinary citizens. This is why many Russian citizens who believe that the attacks in both St. Petersburg and Moscow are the direct result of Putin's actions are unable to do anything but remain silent. However, if the war expands into the heart of Russia, whether in St. Petersburg or Moscow, Putin will come to fully understand the true implications of this silence. While Russian citizens fervently hope that the situation does not escalate to such a terrible level, it is more than likely that Putin's choices will ultimately dictate the future for all Russian cities, including St. Petersburg and Moscow. Thank you for watching and joining us on this analysis. We'll be taking your questions and comments and see you in the next video. We will now share the conclusions we have drawn from the events we have covered. We have reviewed several major developments in the world, and we hope that you found this coverage informative. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. This support helps us grow and provide more content. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. And now, let's present our conclusions from the information we've examined during this presentation.